So, there has been a little bit of news, nothing too major, but there's been some news for the Division 2 Year 5 DLC, or the Division 2 Story DLC that's coming in Year 5, and it's not going to be released until Season 4, so that's probably around March 2024, as a rough sort of estimate as to when it'll be released. That's if it doesn't get delayed or anything like that. And the biggest thing for this DLC is it's not going to be as big as WONI, or Warlords of New York. But with that, there are a few different things it could mean. One of them being it could be entirely free for players, or because it's DLC, there is a possibility they will charge for it. Obviously, they've got to try and make money back on the content they create and stuff. But because it's smaller than WONI, it's probably not going to cost anywhere near as much. Warlords of New York was a £25 expansion. The reason they've named this a DLC is because it's nowhere near as big as the Warlords of New York expansion. In Warlords of New York, or WONI, there was a level cap increase, there was an overhauled gear system, a bunch of new gear, and just because they're saying it's smaller than WONI, we don't actually know what that means. That could mean that they'll do exactly the same again, but make the map smaller, and maybe be a smaller sort of like story expansion, if you want to call it that. Or they could mean that the map is going to be just as big as WONI, but they won't have an overhauled gear system, there won't be a level cap increase. So it's a really grey area at the moment. We don't know too much about it, but we do know for a fact it's not going to be as big as Warlords of New York. However, that could mean a bunch of different things. And in Warlords of New York, you had to complete the entire story part of it in order to return to DC, which is where the base game is held. So I don't think that's going to be a feature in the upcoming DLC, because it's not a full-blown expansion. But what they also did with Warlords of New York is they locked players out of a lot of content. If you were still at level 30, you didn't buy the expansion and take that level cap increase, there was a lot of stuff you missed out on, so they locked players out of content for not owning the expansion. And I really, really hope that's not the case again, and players can actually enjoy everything without having to own this DLC. There's going to be new missions, there's going to be a new map, which I believe might be a part of Brooklyn. There are going to be new stories and stuff, there's going to be new content, and I did speak about it in my previous video talking about the Division 3, but I feel as though the creativity, like it's a personal feeling, I feel as though the creativity isn't like huge in the current team, because they never seem to come up with new ideas. We've had New York, we've had DC, and we've had Brooklyn in the game. Like in the Division 1, it was based around New York. The starting point was Brooklyn. The Division 2 started off in DC, went back to New York. Now there's a possibility Brooklyn's going to come into it, and I feel as though they haven't taken the opportunity that they had to move the story elsewhere, which I believe would be huge if they were to do it. And what I would really like to see, whether it's with the Back to New York we've got in Season 3, whether it's the Story DLC in Season 4, whether it's alongside the Incursion in Season 2, what I really want to see, and I'm not asking for every single mission in the game, but I would really like to see legendary missions become available. They had that as a feature in the Division 1, they've got strongholds in the Division 2, I really want some of the main story missions to have legendary difficulty available. But not only that, my other idea for any of the DLC and stuff they're releasing throughout Year 5, I really hope they create something that could lead into something more and bigger, ready for if they do ever plan to release the Division 3. We had the story with Aaron Keener in the Warlords expansion, and ever since then we've not seen anything anywhere near as big. We've had a bunch of different characters come in and out of the game, but I believe if they played it smart, they could really set themselves up for the future of the franchise. So that was some new info, some personal sort of ideas as to what I would like to see and what I feel they could do with the DLC and stuff coming up in Year 5, the story DLC for the Division 2. We now know that it's not going to be as big as WONI, so it could be cheaper or even possibly free. We're not entirely sure at the moment. We know there's going to be new story stuff, there's going to be new missions, it's going to be on a new map, and I believe they'll probably chuck some sort of other content in there as well. So all we do now is wait for Season 1 to finish, go into Season 2 with the Incursion, Season 3 with Back to New York, and then we get it in Season 4, which I believe will be around sort of March 2024 time, and that is a brand new story DLC for the Division 2. And on that note, we are going to leave the video there. If you enjoyed it, leaving a like is appreciated. If you wish to support me further as a creator, there are links in the description. Let me know your thoughts about the video in the comments. And if you want to watch more, you can click the video on screen. All support on the channel is greatly appreciated, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.